Welcome, everybody, to Tales from Terra. We're doing a zero session with James D'Amato. He's going to help me create a little bit of world setting for Monarchs and Murderers.
Well, hello, heroes. And Ollie, thank you so much for having me.
It's genuinely my pleasure.
I'm really excited about this. We are right now showing off my new book, The Ultimate RPG Game Master's Worldbuilding Guide. And we are doing this, I've been going around to different shows and doing exercises from the books to kind of help develop a little bit of world building in these different shows. And I'm excited because this is an opportunity where I'm kind of getting in on the ground floor. We haven't had you dive in too much to the actual world of the podcast yet. A lot of the other shows that I've been dealing with have been in progress. You know, they've already established parts of their setting. So this, we get to start with some fresh powder and make some big assumptions right away. I know that this is based on a role-playing game that you published, so you probably already have a little bit of setting, but it is very cool to, you know, dive into the podcast world kind of fresh.
That's one of the things I was most excited about, is just knowing that we haven't actually concrete established anything, so anything can be created right now. And that's, I don't know, that was very excited.
Yeah, I mean, one of the cool things about world building, and what I tried to do with the world building guide, especially when you are working for role-playing games, you are trying to create setting elements that will be dynamic tools for you down the road when you're actually sitting down to play the game with your friends. You want to create material that people feel like they are in collaboration with. It's not set in stone, but, you know, it is like an interesting platform for people to jump off of and interact with. So the exercise that we landed on today is an exercise called 5 Factions. And that is where we're going to be developing 5 different, I don't know exactly how I want to phrase this. They're like organizations. They are forces within the setting. Some of them might be political. Some of them might be economic. It really all depends on the roles that we make while we're doing this. But they will help provide a good, solid foundation, especially for an intrigue and politics-based story, which a murder mystery, you can't get much more intrigue than that.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to pick a murder mystery to show off, since it is a modern setting, just how much effect your character can have with just their phone and whatever control over the internet they might be able to have.
Excellent. I think this is going to be really cool. The 5 Faction settings was originally developed for fantasy, so we might be playing around and modernizing it up a little bit, but I'm sure this is going to be a lot of fun. So we have the way these factions work is they are defined by a love of a certain concept, and the organization is sort of shaped and built itself around those concepts. So we have a faction with a love of strength, a faction with a love of knowledge, faction with a love of communication, faction with a love of nature, and faction with a love of order. Do you want to start with any of those in particular, or should we just go down the line?
Let's go down the line. I think that would be best.
All right, so we're starting with the faction that loves strength. To do this, we are going to make some rolls for their basics. So first we need to decide on a structure, and for that, I'm going to ask you to roll a d6 if you have one handy.
I sure do. Just one moment. Also, thank you. You're one of my shelf items.
Cool! That's very cool.
Next to all of my really lame Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So what dice do you want?
You'll need a d6. Actually, it looks like just 2d6 for this exercise.
Okay. I rolled a 5 and a 2.
Okay, so you can choose for the structure either a company or a family. for the structure for the people who love strength. That will be a family this is a culture formed around a group of individuals bound by blood or marriage. Their views are dictated by elders and tradition. Bonds between members are clear, even if emotionally fraught. And for a company this culture is formed around a corporate entity. Companies provide resources and structure for members in hopes of creating profit. Bonds are based on hierarchical authority and function of position.
Let's go with company.
Company. All right. So you used your 5. That makes this a company. And the other thing that we were rolling for was their treasure. And with a 2, that gets you a place. This treasure manifests itself as a stretch of land, a natural formation, or established path created by forces beyond people. So those are the basics. These are people that defines themselves through love of strength. It is the celebration or even worship of strength. That strength can be physical, but it can also be intellectual, emotional, spiritual, or even magical. No matter how it manifests, the culture values power, minimizing vulnerability, and prioritizing achievement. So with that in mind, this is a company that holds a very valuable piece of real estate, something that is kind of wondrous and impressive in its own right. And they care very much about a particular kind of strength. Before we get too far into defining them, let's figure out what it is they love about strength. We're going to be able to choose 2 of these, and the options are that it provides safety, it enables achievement, it represents an ideal form, it provides control, and it provides excitement.
You mentioned so there was safety, control seemed very thematic. What was I think you said shoot.
It enables achievement, it represents an ideal form,
Ideal
and it
form.
provides okay.
Yes, because as you were talking about this, in terms of the fact that one of the things is that they control something important or powerful. In the farther background of this setting, in the world of Terra, I suppose, it's full of wild, horrifying monsters called monstrosities. They just walk around. They're not normal. They're not right. They're twisted and weird because the world Terra itself is a prison for the entity of chaos. So every once in a while, just little things of chaos sprout out.
Gotcha.
And on the surface, there are titans, these massive statue carcasses of gods that can grow and form and disappear. And towns, cities are built around them because they repel the monstrosities.
Gotcha.
But I was thinking that one of the things about this locale was that they didn't have a titan. Instead, that they built a machine that, with the control of the royals, with their power, if there's something related to them, it kept monsters at bay. If this company was part of the group that maintains or even created this machine, then that could be a major thing. So safety is definitely one, but I wasn't sure if control or that sort of idea of them choosing who should be protected, like that idealistic. We know what's right.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, thinking about this company is after, like, at the end of the day, a company is a corporate entity that is after profit. They might have, like, kind of a philosophical mission statement, but at the end of the day, they need to be making money. If what they have done, like, this could have been, how old is this city, would you say? How long has it been around?
I'd say about 100 years, but only until recently was it safe. Before it was just guards patrolling, keeping creatures out.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's probably not. All right. So then, what I kind of think, if the company owns a very important piece of real estate within this city, and they are somehow involved with the idea of keeping it safe. They could be controlling a power source that enables this machine to work. That could definitely be, and it provides safety. And it provides control. I kind of feel like that is more in line with a company. Um, the only other way that I'd look at it would be, represents an ideal form. Might be like we are training soldiers or something of the like. We are sculpting some kind of army, and that is how we're applying our love of strength in that way.
Gotcha. In that case, I definitely think control is the far more thematic option.
All right, then let's figure out exactly what they provide to this setting. The question that we have for the people who love strength is, how do people from this faction test and prove their strength? So like there is not only this like idea that they are providing a service to the community, but like there are different ways they approach it. Are they like in this machine, are these the people that like pilots, whatever, like I don't know if they're gunnery towers or things like that. How does this machine work in a way that is reflective of the way that Titans keep away monstrosities?
So, well, to answer what you were saying, the way Titans keep away monstrosities is just magic is creating order out of chaos, and the monsters themselves, they are a sort of chaotic force, and magic itself is something that sort of magic repels them. If magic is the source of strength in this case, maybe this company, one of their marks of strength is just having a larger well, a larger facet of magic available to them.
I kind of have an idea. Do individuals in this setting possess magic?
Yes, everyone has some. Heroes have wild magic.
Then what I kind of think this is this company is literally a group of magic users who operate as a battery for this machine in certain ways. Like they just collect and focus and hone their magical power. And there must be like some kind of hierarchical system within there. Like if you are a magic user who can output more magic for this machine, you are more valuable. So they have a contract with the royal family to power the machine, and the more magical power that you personally can output, the more money you make off of whatever the royal family pays these folks to come in and power this cool machine. Do you think that makes that tracks? That makes sense with kind of how your world works?
That makes perfect sense. That this isn't even the first time that I've had one of the jobs in the world be people power a thing with just putting magic in it. So that fits
Cool.
perfectly.
That's great. That's great. Then it's time to answer the question: how do people from this faction test and prove their strength? Because if there's a financial incentive, like you get more money if you theoretically have contributed more power to the machine, how internally does this company test and evaluate that?
It seems like this company would have some sort of uh, access to the monsters themselves and see if you can repel one by yourself, like a
Oh,
test of strength.
cool.
If you pass that, then you can be part of the.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. If we could let me know, because this is a modern setting, let me know if this feels too old fashioned. I kind of like the idea if this feels like almost a collectivist union in a certain way. Though the more it seems like the members who are able to contribute more actually have more say and get more out of being part of this collective. If there's a disagreement like between controlling board members and whatnot, maybe you are trying to like you're both set in a room with a monstrosity, and you try to use your power to repel the monstrosity towards the other, essentially.
You really have to decide whether you want to make that objection in the meeting.
Exactly. Like if you feel passionately about how this company should be using its resources and whatnot, you're willing to put your life on the line to stand behind that. Even if you are like a weaker member or whatnot, like just having the nerve to put yourself directly in harm's way. Like a stronger member would be like, I don't want to risk my life over this, so, or anyone's life over this. So like if you really feel that way, I'll back your play or whatever.
Right. Oh, that's very nice. I'd also like the fact that that makes it so that very high up members, they have sort of a like overwhelming presence
Yeah.
because everyone knows if you mess with them, they will they will basically sick a monster on you because you can't compete with them.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really cool. But like, also that means you could have internal factions and groups, like 5 lower ranking members get together behind the same idea, and it's like, well, 5-1, you'd have to best all 5 of us at once, because we all believe in this. It There's a really cool like unbalanced democracy system within this organization, which I think is neat. The other question is, what markers signify achievement or authority within this faction? Is it just that they have like a powerful magical aura around them? Or, like, are they wearing like markers of office, ways that people who are outside this organization could know, oh, I'm speaking to somebody high up and important?
I feel like since they are contracted through the royal family, the monarchy of this area, I feel like they would get acknowledgement publicly through them. Basically, like as if they were soldiers fighting monstrosities, except they're doing it from inside a chamber, outputting magic.
Ooh. Is this like kind of organized like a mercenary military unit then? Like they don't do any frontline fighting, but they are part of the self-defense structure for the city.
I think that could work very well. One of the main forms of power in the world is there are a lot of smaller guilds and mercenary contract groups because when people want to, ferry their goods from one city to another, they need protection in this world, and I figured that would be one of the main forms of, I don't know, employment for adventurers, if you will.
Cool. I like that a lot then, that they have like almost a kind of military rank. Like, do you think that they can, like, they're incorporated into the official royal military in a way that like they might be able to give a private or whatever orders? Or is it just that, hey, these people have a special job, there are certain like privileges that come with that, like they're technically invited to certain royal balls and might have authority in specific civic situations?
I like them being given control over those just in the regular military because I figured the world is set up with a global government that it gives
Mm.
very sparse rules and more or less has control of the police force around the world.
Right.
But each country can have their own, mercenary groups and militias to help deal with smaller other issues. And this could be the royal family decided you guys are, whenever you're present, you are in charge of the whatever militaristic force is present.
That's cool. That's very cool. So like it explains why someone who doesn't have a lot of magical power but still enough to qualify would still want to be a part of this. And hey, you get special privileges within society. Like you are kind of an important person just being part of this unit. Even though you don't really have military training, you're not controlling operations or anything like that. You're essentially just a magic battery. But like the guards and soldiers around like kind of have to look up to you a little bit, which is cool. What do we think the name of this company is?
Names.
Yeah, it's definitely the worst part. One of the things, like, this is sort of like it would be the name of a paramilitary unit, like, or maybe they have this 100-year history where they came to this place alongside the royal family to help settle it, and eventually this machine was developed. But like, they were beforehand they were just sitting out there with the guards at the posts, like exuding an aura of monstrosities, stay away. Like that could be really cool.
Oh god, this is dumb. This is not going to be it. But the first thing that came to mind was
I love dumb ideas though. Come on.
The Monstrosity Survival Network, or MSN. Oh, I don't know why I do that. Acronym.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess it would have been founded like 100 years ago. 100 years ago, our time is like the early 1900s. So does that feel like? Yeah, I honestly think if you wanted to commit to the bit, the MSN is not, like, that's not out of the question.
I mean, yeah, I'm not against it. It's the first thing that came to my mind.
What is the royal family like? What's their name? Does this place have a particular name, like as a region or something?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been flip flopping a lot, so it doesn't have one set. I basically come up with one and go a week later. Nope, that's not that's not right.
Yeah, well then I think Monstrosity Survival or Monstrosity Security Network, or something like that. I do think that would work quite well. And like that also sort of like contributes to the flavor of your setting. Like if this were a high fantasy setting, they might be called the Black Dogs. We are establishing here is that this is a modern setting, so like an organization that goes by an acronym that kind of fits the world. I like it. So we've established the people who love strength there. Just next up, we have the people who love knowledge. So once again, we'll roll 2d6 and we will choose their structure and their treasure.
All right.
Oh, actually, before we move on from the people who love strength, I do want to know, we decided it's an important piece of real estate that they control. What is that? Like, is it a tower? Is it like the wall? Like, I think probably one of the perks is if you are part of the MSN, you actually get to reside in like a special barracks or something. That's got to be nicer than a lot of the other parts of the city.
I think it might have to be a tower. Because one of the things with the Titans is that they're the major ones. They're huge. They are towering, looming figures, and to create something that repels monsters in the same way and to erect it in a fashion that's resembling a Titan is sort of like the hubris that comes from a company that's gotten too big.
Oh yeah, I like that. So then you get to, if you are part of the MSN, you get to reside somewhere in the tower, and that barracks is really nice. It's also very close to the machine that makes things work. So like if there's an emergency, you can scramble and head to your station and add to the power of this place. But, it is this beautiful gleaming tower that you can see from pretty much anywhere in the city, which, like it explains why the office carries so much weight, why people want to join this organization really at any level. And, it says a lot kind of about how this world works, or this particular city works within this world, which is cool. Then, yeah, back to the people who love knowledge. Let's roll those dice.
All right. I got a 3 and a 4.
All right, 3 and a 4. For the structure, this is either a clan or a school. To define clan and how it separates from family, this culture blurs the line between many structures, but especially family and state. creating an affiliation by shared history and values. The bonds here are strongly tied to personal identity.
I like the idea of clan.
All right, cool. So we've got a clan, and the 4 treasure would be a rarity. This is something scarce or otherwise difficult to attain. It is a treasure most like what you would think of typically when you think treasure.
And maybe it's something like a royal jewel, but typically only the royal family has this because they were some of the people. The royal family was part of the people, the line that established this city,
Mm,
but so was this clan. So they were able to keep one of this item.
interesting. Well,
Maybe maybe a relic from a monstrosity or
oh,
something. I don't
that
know.
could be cool. Let's dig in a little bit and figure out what they love about knowledge and what sounds most interesting to us, because that'll, I think, help us figure out the treasure. But I do like the idea of a monstrosity part in some way. Um, what does this faction love most about knowledge? Once again, we choose 2. The options are: it preserves the past, it builds the future, it satisfies curiosity, it makes people useful, and it eases suffering.
I think I'm partial to preserve the past and makes people useful.
Okay, okay. Um, so this is a clan, meaning like there are elements of family in this. Like a lot of clans are, multiple families bound together to common purpose. This might be not exactly tied to the royal family, but adjacent to it. When we think about like noble classes in real world history, it's like, well, this isn't the royal family, but these are important people around the royal family, and perhaps even butt heads or try to make their way into the royal family. So I can see this being a group that sort of accompanied the original royals out, like in founding this place, and has, integrated itself into the particular structure of this place. And one of the things that strikes me about going out and founding a city that is not around a titan, like, it's got to feel like that's a very experimental thing. These were people taking a big swing and really risking their lives. And you have to wonder for what. At the end of the day, especially because this is a group that loves knowledge, I think probably they're trying to learn something. Maybe it's something about the nature of chaos. Maybe it's something about the nature of the Titans themselves. What do you think? What sounds interesting to you?
I love the idea of them trying to learn more about chaos itself because in the world, every Titan, or all the major ones, they have basically a hole where you can go inside, and there's a dungeon, and inside these dungeons, there's wells of knowledge. If you make it to the end, you're given a boon, and that's usually knowledge and some sort of ability or whatever else. It's a typical dungeon crawling dungeon. But one of the things in the world was the idea that every time you went in, people learned more about the world, things that they knew were 100% true because the gods themselves said, here is a fact about this world you don't know.
Mm.
And I think the idea of them knowing that there is something literally inside of their world that they can't get access to, trying to understand what that thing's power is,
What
might be
what if, and this is a wild, wild pitch, what if this
okay.
city is built on top of what used to be a dungeon for, like, to a well of knowledge, and this clan, like this group, sort of band together, and they're like, we're gonna clear out the dungeon, and then we're gonna build a city around it, and we're gonna keep all the monstrosities away, and people within our organization, people within our clan, they will be able to go down, visit the well of knowledge, and together we will hold all of the knowledge that comes from this place.
I like that a lot. So I mentioned before that Titans, like they seem like statues, but they can appear and they can crumble, as because the idea is that they are a
Hmm.
concept. Uh, the idea for the gods in this world is that they're, uh, I suppose, a dimension above us in
Hmm.
existence. So the farther down you go, the more specific we get. The higher up you go, the more broad. So we can think of 100 different things. We are so many different pieces. They are one concept. And if that idea disappears, then they disappear.
Oh.
And maybe there was a dungeon there and they found the remnants of it. They don't know what the Titan was, but they went into it to figure it out,
Oh.
to bring back that knowledge of the
I
past.
like that. So maybe they don't even they like I feel like really they are still trying to learn the secret of this broken titan, and maybe even more than that, they are trying to understand like, well, how does a titan disappear? And like is there anything related to that? This is just like a clan of people that bound together and were like, let's take a huge risk and find out something serious about the nature of titans. And the royal family in this area can be like, well, we want a civic city and we're willing to go along with you weirdos because you're the only people who would be willing to like go out and do this. So the question that we have for the faction that loves knowledge is, how does this faction keep records of their knowledge and where is it stored?
I feel like there has to be obviously some records of this, but I did just finish watching for the second time
Yeah.
Castlevania,
Hmm.
and, and the speakers, the idea of them personally sitting down and explaining to each other, this is the knowledge that
Yeah.
you know, keep this safe. I think is, I don't know, something, there's something very family oriented about that idea. Like, I'm passing this knowledge specifically to you. You save it and pass it on to the next person.
Okay. Okay. Here's an idea. What if, way back, like before this place was established, there used to be a traditional, like, Titan city structure or whatever, and then a big monstrosity came and destroyed the Titan, what have you, like broke this place down, and it, festered for goodness knows how long, and eventually this new group comes in and builds a city around it, and tries to reestablish that old city. And this treasure that these people have is like the bones of the monstrosity that broke the titan. And so whatever knowledge they can get from it is a little bit like touching or a little bit infused with chaos. So it can't be written down in a traditional way. And like as new members are brought into this clan, or new people like advance in the clan, they're allowed access to the bones of this monstrosity, and through interacting with the bones of this monstrosity, they're actually able to like get pieces of knowledge about this titan, and together they're building like kind of an oral history, and trying to find some order in like this mess of swirling chaos that they're built on top of.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. I also like that it implies that the Titan itself, like its power was basically
Mm-hmm.
gone, and this thing was able to come in and destroy it. So that leaves a lot of mystery as to how did it lose power? Why did it just become a shell?
And like it's such an important question, like especially if you are somebody who is living in a world like, well, the only thing that protects us from oblivion, from endless onslaughts of monstrosities, are these titans, and they can stop working. We really need to figure out how this works. So like, yeah, this group like took a huge risk in helping to found this city, because if they can figure out this mystery, they can perhaps keep all of the communities of the world safe. But like, it's also, you're interfacing with a monstrosity that has to be a huge personal, physical, mental, emotional risk. So like it feels like this clan is like, very serious. Like they're somewhere between like a civic political order and like a religion and like a school. Like it's a very, very cool idea. But let's figure out, does this faction share their knowledge? who do they decide? How do they decide who is worthy of sharing knowledge with?
I feel like they are willing to accept people and they'll share their knowledge with people that
Hmm.
join them. Uh, Otherwise, at least knowledge regarding the monstrosities, that's very near and
Yeah,
dear to them. And I think maybe if anyone comes and can teach them something they don't already know, they are able to
that's
join.
cool. That's cool. So, uh, yeah, with that, I kind of want to know within this place is that like are people who are part of like this clan are they part of the political structure of this world, or is this clan like they have their own special place kind of surrounding the bones of this monstrosity, and it's tolerated by the royal family, but tensions are kind of icy between them? How does that work?
I think it should be both, since they helped establish the place. They get invited to all the parties, but everyone's always like, there they
Yeah,
are.
yeah, because they've got to be a little bit weird. They've interfaced with like the bones of a monstrosity, and they have knowledge that literally can't be written down. But yeah, they're an important part of this place and its history, so they're incorporated some way in the political makeup. This brings us to once again the most difficult part, which is giving these folks a name.
uh, hmm.
There there could be something like maybe the Fellowship of Bones, or something like that. Uh, like
The House of the Unknown Bones.
oh, okay, the House of I like the House of the Blank Bones. I'm trying to like unknown, the House of Unknown of the Unknown Bones, the House of
Consecrated Bones?
yeah, like because they're getting at the knowledge of the Titan through interacting with the monstrosity.
And if the monstrosity died after tearing down this
Mm-hmm.
Titan, maybe just that whatever final bits of the Titan existed interacting with it killed this creature that was clearly
Yeah,
massive.
yeah, this like kaiju of a monstrosity. Um,
So being with those bones, maybe it's like the idea is that the bones were purified by the Titan
oh,
by killing it.
yeah, like the House of the Purified Bone, or the Order of the Consecrated Bones, or something like that. Cool. All right. Um, this brings us to the faction with the love of communication. Um, this faction is built around the complex art of communication. It can facilitate relations between houses, develop sophisticated forms of art and expression, or relish in gossip and espionage. Let's roll 2 dice for the structure of this faction.
All right. Double
Double
fives.
fives. All right. So this is definitely another company. Um, and their treasure is a skill, something members of this faction are capable of that outsiders are not. It might be powerful, useful, or just odd. Um, for the faction that loves communication, let's first choose what they love most about communication. Uh, the options are: it creates beauty, it creates peace, it creates power, it reveals truth, or it brings pleasure.
I don't know if it's because I am a communist bastard, but part of me can't conjoin company with something lovely. So maybe truth, maybe like a media company trying to find the truth of
Okay.
something, and that the last thing you said
It
uh,
brings pleasure.
was it like pleasure? That way, it's maybe self indulgent in a way, like
And
I don't know, like what we're doing, creating content, like a TikTok, YouTube sort of thing, where they pride themselves in telling the truth people don't want to hear or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Okay. So this is, I think, this definitely sounds like a media news organization then. So they are like reporters of some type or something like that, and brings pleasure. So they're also trying to bring people truth in a satisfying way. Um, Well, let's consider the questions. But they also have a skill that they really care about that other people don't have access to, which is interesting. So that is the treasure that this organization holds. So we'll think about that. Keep that in mind as we ask the question: what form of communication originated with this faction that has spread to almost all others? So that could feel like very social media app, like, like Twitter. Like they are literally hosting a place where people communicate and exchange information.
Yeah, maybe sort of like a TikTok-esque app where instead of just you create your own TikTok or whatever, they create like here's the news for this, here's the news for this, and they have their own personalities that contribute that. But then as threads along those, users can contribute their own, like I saw this too, here's that information, basically creating webs of conspiracy theories, videos that people you create together in a horrifying
So this is
collective.
like kind of a bonding of TikTok and Wikipedia. Like
Yeah.
this is the
Something that
news.
should not
Yeah,
happen.
exactly. This is wild. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so they've created this platform, and the platform became so popular that pretty much everyone kind of has to interact with it and be a part of it to stay relevant.
I feel like it probably has a lot of people who, like, it comes up in the more mainstream news, if you
Hmm.
will. It comes up a lot. People on this app have been doing this or saying this and bringing this to light, and every once in a while it'll be something true, so that they can stay, you know, faceted in the community. But for a lot of the news, it's just that they've been stirring conflicts, or they've been scaring people into doing certain weird things. So people are listening, people are paying attention, people are always interacting because they feel like this might be where the truth is told, but they don't know what is true. So it's this weird, like, they have to watch to know if something's happening, but they don't know if this is really happening or people are just conflating things.
Interesting. Interesting. I'm gonna think about that a little more. Let's try answering the other question. Which
I may have gone in a weird
No,
direction
no,
with
no,
this.
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no, no, no. I think there's something really interesting in here. Before I make any more decisions, let's see what the other question is. What group or rank within this faction is respected by every other faction for their skill, power, or danger?
I think so again, I'm sorry I keep talking about the world at large.
No,
I
that's
don't want to
good.
just
That is good
keep
because we're
talking.
trying to tie in what we're developing here to what you've got established.
Right. I just felt awkward, like, hey, here's this thing I made. I
This
don't want
is
to be
your
that guy.
podcast. People are listening to this to literally
I
hear
know,
about
but
that.
I know it just feels like, oh, you you probably get this a lot. But okay, anyways, I'm not thinking like that anymore. I'm going in. So maybe because in this world, magic and technology grew alongside each other. I was thinking for a long time that magic script is the baseline. It's the way that they write
Hmm.
programming. So the person in charge right now, maybe they were one of the leading contributors to creating this programming language, to translating magic into a digital
Hmm.
format, which again in the world, magic itself is the essentially the spoken language of the Titans. It's how they communicate.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So by translating that script into what is a programming language, he created something huge. He's able to more better understand the knowledge that people get from the Titans, people get from all sorts of things.
What? Okay. This is a truly, truly wild idea. Let me know if you'd like to go along with this. What if this company is actually formed around casting a spell? What if the spell that they're trying to do is like literally some sort of reality control, some sort of thing that like summons truth into the world, but the way they do it is create this massive social media informational network, and if enough people come to believe or see a particular idea of true, it becomes true. So the people who wrote this program and formed it are like, we are trying to put the things that we want and encapsulate them into viral ideas. And if we can get enough people that invest in these ideas, they start to become true in a certain way. So, like
So
go ahead.
so they created a massive spell in the form of an app, and its power source is the people themselves, the creators, making these strings of sometimes conspiracy theory, sometimes truth telling, and eventually like enough of that collects, and whether it was real or not starts to become real because that
Yeah.
idea is
Yeah.
present.
Like, and I think probably the outside world doesn't know that this is a spell really. But like the initial spell or however this is programmed, like the initial programmer of this doesn't even need to be around. The company itself, like the real power in it is like the people who are able to moderate content on this app, because they are the ones sort of steering and controlling belief, to their own ends or benefits.
Ooh, I like this. So this is maybe not the best connection because I don't want to bring everything back to the founding group
Mhm.
or whatever. But if the person who found this company maybe was connected to the group that was all about knowledge, and in their knowledge of the Titans and monstrosities, they began to better understand that since the Titans are concepts, that if they can create some sort of spell or device that brings ideas to life, they could eventually, with enough people, create a Titan.
Cool. I like that a lot. I kind of like the idea that this is like a technique that maybe this person used to belong to the clan surrounding the bones, and like this is through the knowledge that they got about this fallen titan, they were able to write like this spell or this bit of code, and this company like found this information somehow, got a hold of this information, and used it to build this platform because, like, they have designs, or maybe even, like, innocently enough, they wanted to experiment. They were looking for the truth. They were trying to see if this could work, and it sort of is.
Oh, that's so cool. That means that there's some wild shit out there in this world.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I like this a lot. What do we think? What do we think? Like the name of this app or whatever is?
I mean, it seems too on the nose to call it the collective or something like that.
What if it's like, okay, because this is a modern setting and we're dealing with all sorts of dumb not. What if it's just called Cole, COL? Like, oh yeah, I was on Cole and I learned this cool thing about dolphins or whatever.
I like that. That's perfect because it's sort of like if you don't know if you don't know where the name comes from, it's just like what the hell even
Yeah.
is? What are you talking about?
Oh man, that's really cool. I'm into that. Next, we have the faction with a love of nature. We once again roll 2d6 and see what we get.
All right. We got a 6 and a 1.
Okay, so this is either a state, a culture formed around a government or city state, um, or an order. This culture is formed around an organization dedicated to an ideology, like a religion. Orders provide structure and resources to collectively pursue a common agenda. Bonds can be hierarchical, teacher student, or colleague to colleague, depending on the ethos of the order. And a state is very much a form of government of some kind. So yeah, like definitely I feel like a religion is good for this. Let's figure out, and it is nature based in some way. We have to decide what this faction loves most about nature before we continue. And the options are: it makes life possible, it provides laws and stability, it represents uncontested power, it is a source of awe and wonder, it rewards dedication and care.
Dedication and care uh, call to me just because it seems the idea of cultivating something.
Oh, I like that a lot. And they have a structure or monument of something that's important to them. What if these people just tend a sacred and important garden in this city?
Maybe. Oh, I'm back.
Yeah,
Cool.
there we go.
Maybe it's the inverse of the bone, where the bones lie in a place, basically on one side of the town of the city,
Mm-hmm.
and this group, they their headquarters, their church, is around with the presumed feet of where this titan was, and maybe the vegetation there is uh, unique in some way.
Cool. I like that a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it rewards dedication and care. I think then the other would have to be it's a source of awe and wonder. In that, like, this is just kind of a sacred religious order that is ostensibly worshiping this former titan, but really what they're doing is tending and caring for the unique vegetation where this titan used to be, as a form of connecting to it in some way.
I like that because it's basically them worshiping a a god that they never knew existed.
Yeah, yeah, they have no idea what it used to represent, and one of the only remnants that they have is this vegetation, which is in some way unique, and therefore it's like, well, in a way, it defends us. It really is the machine protecting this city and whatnot, but a titan used to be here, and the only thing that is left over is this garden. We are going to care for this garden. That's really cool. How do the people who love nature live in a way that the other factions could not?
I think because magic is so accessible to everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and admittedly, not everyone has the full facet and power to do heroic things. Some of them can just cook up, grilled cheese or whatever.
Yeah.
But maybe one thing that they're able to do is sort of request that the magic in the world itself do something for them, create a house, give
Ooh.
them a place to sleep. It can never be anything like harmful or dangerous, but something protective.
Yeah, what if it's just that if you tend and care for the garden tends and cares for you. So, like, you can come to this city completely poor, not having anything to your name, but if you go to the garden and you start to care and work for the garden, it will grow you a house. It will provide you food. It will provide you clothing. Um, that's cool.
Nice.
So like it's religious, but there's not much of an ethos apart from like you care for the garden. Um, so like it's not like there are priests or anything here. It's just you decide to have a symbiotic relationship with this wild and beautiful garden, and in turn, like there's a place for you to live and there are things for you to eat and whatnot.
I feel like if anything, instead of a priest, there'd be I don't know, a tutor, someone who teaches you about how to take care of these plants or just life in general.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, I like that a lot. Um, what secret do they keep that eludes other factions?
Maybe others don't understand that the garden itself is providing for them in this way, because at that point it is the magic left over by this titan that seems to be providing for them,
Yeah,
and maybe that's something that the rest of the world doesn't understand, that even when dead, this titanic magic can literally provide for our existence.
that's cool. I like the idea that perhaps the people who have interacted with the bone can't tend the garden. Like, if you've somehow incorporated yourself with like the chaos or whatever, like they can't get out of tending the garden whatever it is other people get out of tending the garden. So, you know, that order is like, we are trying to understand this titan in a way through the lens of what killed and destroyed it. And you know, these folks are like, well, we have some kind of innate understanding of this titan by the way we honor its memory. And it's hard to reconcile those ideas.
Yeah. So this is something that I am proud of, but I do think is dumb. Uh, so when I was thinking of magic and how we have control over it in this world, my idea was uh, essentially we have control over the four forces of the universe, right?
Mhm.
We have an energy source, and with that energy source, we can just manipulate these little things and little miniature gods to do small, tiny things. But that energy source, because I wanted everything to revolve around this idea of generating chaos and energy and entropy and all that jazz.
Mhm.
And in our bodies, there's a ridiculous amount of lost energy and entropy and heat.
Right.
And so I wrote, inspired by Star Wars Episode One
Mhm.
in the grossest way possible. I was like, maybe there's a thing in your body that turns that lost energy, that chaos, that entropy, and
Mm.
turns it into a magic source. So maybe to contribute to the garden, you have to refuse to use magic because you're refusing to convert the chaos into
Oh,
anything.
that's cool. That's cool. And like, it definitely sort of gets at natural cycles, right? And it is a way to, like, you're interacting with some kind of supernatural force, but not through magic. So that might make it feel a little religious-y, like there are some taboos and whatnot about tending the garden, but like the trade-off is like, this is a totally sustainable and pleasant way to live.
Yeah, like someone comes in and tries to take care of a plant. The first thing they do is create a little cloud to water it, and someone's like, "No, no, 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 no!
No, that's not how it
Please stop
works.
that right now!"
Yeah. Or you know, that like somebody who's experienced goes over and is like, that's not going to do anything. Like that water, the garden can't sustain off that water. Like you're essentially doing nothing. But if you literally go over to this well, pull out of the well and water it, it will. That's really cool. That brings us to our final faction, which is people who love order. Um, and the description here is, this faction is dedicated to upholding laws and respecting traditions. This might manifest as maintaining a justice system, leading a religion, or managing hierarchies. They prioritize laws and systems in all matters and only tolerate change when it follows a predetermined course. What roles did you get?
All right, 3-3.
3-3. All right. So once again, this is a clan, and they are formed around a text. Um, so let's figure out what they love about order before we go any farther. What does this faction love most about order? Choose two. It exalts and values what is sacred. It resolves disputes before they happen. It gives purpose to what is chaotic. it makes the world understandable and fair, it connects people to their past.
I think because of sort of the what we've established, some of the other factions
Mm-hmm.
uh, connects people to the past and gives or promotes order. I think are the two most interlinked with all the other ones.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So there is some kind of text that this group is formed around, and that through that text or something like that, they are trying to connect people to their past. And let's see, values what is sacred resolves and suits before they happen, gives purpose to what is chaotic. That's it. Um, interesting, interesting, interesting.
Maybe okay. So in terms of a sacred-ish, because it's not exactly religious text, maybe they worship like the journals of the people who founded the place.
Yeah, well, like what we don't even need to call this something worship. These could just be historians, like
Mm.
for this place in all terms, like tracking both a civic history and kind of like an ancient history of what was this place before, you know, we founded this city, because there used to be another city here, another people that lived around this Titan. How did all of that work? So this, like, all right, I'm gonna dig into my definition of clan again before we move that. This culture blurs the line between many structures, but especially family and state. What if what if this is like there was just a family a long time ago that like archaeology, paleontology, like that was kind of their thing, and one of the reasons that they came here was not so much to understand the Titan, not so much to understand the monstrosities, but to understand the people who interacted with both of those things in this place. And they have set up an organization, almost like a nonprofit organization, that is like really just trying to cobble together the story of this location. And part of that means like, hey, there's a royal family here. We need to understand the history of this royal family. Who was this family before they came here? Who have they been since they came here? Like, what is this government? What are these different factions? And what did all this place used to be? I kind of feel like they almost operate like a museum and just have a very like specific civic history and ancient history of this place.
With the way we were mentioning a couple things, something came to mind. The idea of this group, part of what they want is to understand, you know, the structure of the past, how it is similar or different to the present, and sort of the change and process that goes from one to the other. And in terms of something that I think is just kind of neat is the idea of the same thing sort of happening to them. Like they start off as this social, not conservationalist, but like a historian group, and from them maybe a subgroup comes out where uh, they're more worshipy in terms of like these are this is the history of this town. We don't care about the past, any further connections. We revere the fact that these families came here, did this. Meanwhile, the faction that was their progenitor are still there. They're like they're present in this large organization who genuinely promotes like learn about your past, please, for the love of God.
Yeah,
And they're like,
yeah.
no, nope, these people are the best. We love the all of the royals. They founded this place. This place is magical. Basically, we're able to keep away these things that only gods can do, but we're doing it here. So like an almost radical, appreciative group towards the city itself.
Yeah, yeah, I like the idea that this clan sort of splintered off really into two separate groups, and that's, I think, where the disagreement comes up. Like whatever text, whatever system it is that this people who loves order is like trying to interpret, is the initial mission statement of the family that kind of founded this organization. And like it is a torn between like what is the most important. Is it tracking and recording our living history that we are making right now, or is it unearthing and understanding a history that existed before us? And so they've splintered off maybe into two wings that like cooperate a little bit, but like also butt heads over, you know, the use of resources and whatnot, and how their attention should be devoted. It makes me think of the Mayflower Society in the United States, which is this group of people who, you know, claim that their ancestors came to the United States as part of the Mayflower, and like it's kind of a historical society, but it's also sort of like a vain commitment to some sort of family lineage that doesn't really mean anything. Like the that feels like, you know, it is, we are glorifying our past because it's glorifying ourselves, versus like we're actually really invested in this place and the history of this place, and that kind of being at odds with itself.
Yeah, that's such a perfect split. I love it.
Cool. Well, there we go. There are 5 factions. There is technically more to the exercise, and we could figure out the relationships between these factions. But we have gone for an hour now, and I feel like this gives you some really fun tools to play around with, especially as like you figure out the structure of your murder mystery and whatnot. I can see a lot of these groups playing very heavily into a story like that.
Oh yeah, I'm extremely excited. Oh, thank you so much.
Well,
This
thank you
has
so
been
much for
amazing.
having me. This was a blast building this with you.
I I'm excited to put this out for everyone to see. I'm excited to wrap these factions into the story, into the mystery, and I'm excited to see how it changes everything that I had planned. I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
it's I feel like it's gonna expand and erupt.
Yeah, I can really see these adding a lot of complex layers, because I can feel like, especially with this last group that we created, like somebody can be a member of like both that and one of these other factions like pretty easily, and it could give you all sorts of weird motivations for doing whatever you're doing. If people enjoyed listening to this and are intrigued by this exercise, you can go out and pick up the Ultimate RPG Game Master's World Building Guide that has all sorts of exercises like this that break down the process of world building into prompts and games to make it easier and more fun to work your way through. You can just head to bit.ly/ultimate world building to find a list of retailers where you can find that. And if you want to see some of these ideas in action, you should continue listening to this very podcast and see the story that springs out of these ideas in the other Session Zero that's already been completed.
Yeah, I can vouch. I personally bought the world building book through Google Play, and all of your books are incredibly useful for creating a world, characters, and making it feel real.
Oh,
So
thank you very much.
if you yeah, no, I cannot recommend enough if someone wants to help them, someone wants to learn how to create a world to play in, they can follow up through all of your books.
Well, thank you so much, and listeners, hope you had fun.